I can't even go to the toilet, Mitchell, without her being there with me. And it's actually amazing tonight because she's sitting at my feet. And normally when I'm on a Zoom call, she's like a little toddler and she has to sit on my lap and be the feature on the Zoom call. But tonight she's just laying at the end of my feet here, which is quite unusual for her just to be quiet. So she knows, that I'm talking about her and it's important.
Hello, I'm Mitchell Jordan, and you're listening to Love is a Doxy. The dog you just heard about is Pansy the dachshund, and her owner, Justine Martin, isn't exaggerating when she said that this is important. Justine, who lives in Geelong, a city southwest of Melbourne, is the very definition of what it means to be resilient. She's both a mother and grandmother who lives with multiple sclerosis and has battled 3 different forms of cancer and survived. For most of us, the thought of going through just one of these ordeals would be incomprehensible. But Justine's a survivor. And in this episode, she talks about the love from her dachshund that helps her thrive, and how she and Pansy are now using art to show others with disabilities how they can thrive too. You might be surprised to learn that there was once a time when Justine wasn't really a dog person. In fact, she was actually terrified of them. But when her son Zach, who's in the army, asked if she could look after his 2 dachshunds, Remy and Lacey, for 3 months, she said yes. 3 months turned to 7, and in no time at all, Justine was a dachshund devotee. By this stage of life, she'd already been living with MS for years, and saw what an impact Lacey and Remy's company had on her. Zach noticed it too, and offered to let her have Lacey. But Justine couldn't do it. Not just yet.
I was asked if I wanted to keep Lacey when it was time to send them back because I'd bonded so much Lacey because she was quite little. But I was unwell at the time and had been diagnosed with 3 cancers. And I didn't know if I was going to live or die and had to make the decision, whether to keep her or send her back to a loving home with Zach and Remy. And I didn't want to break them up either because Remy and Lacey were so close. So I made the heartbreaking decision to pop her back on the plane and then had the fight of my life to try and get healthy again, and then vowed that when I was in a better position health-wise that I would get one my own.
Thankfully, that's exactly what happened. After saying goodbye to the dogs, Justine went through chemotherapy to treat the melanoma, leukemia and lymphoma, and eventually got the all clear. Unless you've been through potentially terminal illness or know someone who has, it's easy to forget just how limited our time on this earth can be. And now she had beaten cancer, Justine didn't want to waste a second. Valuable time that she could be spending with a dachshund. So, enter Pansy. Or should I say Beyonce?
So when I decided that I wanted a dog of my own, I put a call out if anyone knew anyone that had some puppies, and I wanted to actually meet the owner who bred her and look at where she came from. I didn't want to buy her online. I did buy locally, and I was very fortunate that there was an elderly lady that had her not far from me, and Pansy had a brother. So Pansy's original name was Beyonce, and her brother was JZ or something like that it was. And they used to call her Bounce because she bounces absolutely everywhere. And I went there without any money. I thought, I'm just going there to have a look, to see what she's like, or well, to see what they're like. I really wanted a little girl, but I was open to, having a little boy as well. And I'm a big believer that the puppy chooses you, you don't choose the puppy. whichever one, came to me and wanted to be around me would be the one that I would be interested in. And when I got there, so there was the two of them, and Pansy would not leave me alone. Picked her up, she was on my lap, whereas her brother wouldn't come near me at all. And so Pansy chose me. I didn't choose Pansy. And then it was like, oh, well, I better go and get some money out of the bank now. And so then I went and did that and came back. And when I went to the bank, I went and got a little carry cage to bring her home in, because I had absolutely nothing at all, and to go and buy it all. Oh, I still had the crate that the other two slept in, but that's all I had. And so I got her that day and I brought her home.
And that's when Beyonce became Pansy, a tribute in part to Justine's grandmother who had dachshunds.
Wanted to give her a name that I chose, and pansies were my grandma's favourite flower. And her mum, so Pansy's mum was actually called Panda. And so Pansy was quite close to in name then to Panda, out of memory of her mum. And I can remember bringing her home and she's looking at me through the little pet cage transport thing, and I looked at her and I said, you look like a pansy. And she kind of sat up and she looked at me and I went, yep, I'm going to call you Pansy. And there was no other name that went with her.
It soon became clear that Justine and Pansy had lots in common. While Justine had been on a roller coaster ride for so long, her new dog had also experienced a kind of trauma.
Pansy's mum actually passed away a week after Pansy was born. So they were hand reared. And because they were hand reared, Pansy has quite a lot of anxiety as well. She's my little anxiety girl. But if any strangers come to home, or actually if anyone comes to home and they get excited, and because everyone loves her when they come here and pats her, she does wee. And we have paper towel ready on the go to clean that up. Yeah, my life would be lost without her. Absolutely.
For anyone not familiar with MS, I'll let Justine explain what it's like to live with this condition and how Pansy helps her.
So MS is short for multiple sclerosis, and that's inflammation around the nerves. So the messages from your brain to say you went to pick up a coffee cup don't often get through, and you struggle to do things. I'm tired all the time, so fatigue is a major issue. And it's not about, oh, I need to go and have a sleep. You get to the point where you have no energy left in your body to actually move or think properly. And Pansy, she must realize sometimes, when I'm like that, and she's very comforting. I'll go and lay on the bed and she'll lay beside the bed and make sure that I'm okay, the whole time I'm there. And she's never more than like a foot away from me when I'm, really fatigued and having a bad day. She never gets under my feet either. So that's the thing, that she knows that, some days I have difficulty walking, and she'll never be where I can trip over her. I use a walking frame sometimes, and I'll take her out for a walk with the walking frame, and I'll tie her onto the frame rather than try and hold on to her. And she walks perfectly beside the frame. So, yeah, she knows.
But Justine isn't the only one who Pansy helps. When she was first diagnosed with MS, Justine was advised to find a hobby, especially when she was no longer able to continue her job. And for her, that hobby was painting. I guess it won't surprise you to learn that her favourite subject to paint is dachshunds. Justine also runs her own art wellness classes for the disabled, and while she's the teacher, it's Pansy who's become the star of the show.
Yeah, I do art wellness classes for other people with disabilities, and they come in, they get to paint and draw what they want in a very relaxed environment, and Pansy adds to the experience of them being here. So they absolutely love her. Some of them pick her up more than what they paint, and she's always on their laps and giving them kisses. She licks absolutely everything, and they love her. And, she has beds throughout the house. She's got the little pet beds everywhere, and she's got one in the studio, and she'll often be found crawled up in that asleep while everyone's there. And then all of a sudden she'll wake up full of energy, bouncing around the room. And she'll try and jump up, but she can't. And she'll just go up to someone's leg and just continually try and jump up and get their attention until they pick her up and give her a pat and a cuddle and then put her down, and then she'll go on to the next person and try and persuade them to pick her up. So everyone loves her. They smile when they see her and give her lots of love and attention.
Among the classmates is Bree, who's been on her own health journey with MS. Let's hear from her.
I was 19 when I was first diagnosed, and I went into several appointments with doctors and specialists because I had aura behind my eyes and I thought I was getting a migraine, and it never went away. So I got several MRIs, and 9 months later I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It sucked just because I was so ready to just do everything I could to live my life to the fullest and just absorb everything, learn as much as I could, and achieve as much as I could. And I just thought someone had pulled the rug out from under me.
Through mutual friends, Bree met Justine over a decade ago. Bree's mostly in a wheelchair these days and enjoys painting, not just as a creative outlet, but also as a way of managing her health.
It's really good for my hand-eye coordination and strengthening up the muscles in my hands to keep using them, which is also really important for people with MS because it is kind of like if you don't use it, you lose it.
This might sound shocking, but Bree isn't actually a dog lover. However, for Pansy, she's made an exception.
She is a sweet little dog. I do get that. I actually think sausage dogs are quite cute.
For Justine, while life has been hard to say the least, she feels lucky.
Yeah, I pinch myself every day that I'm still walking the planet.
You see, not only is Justine living a creative life and inspiring others, she's got a very special dachshund by her side to help, in more ways than one. And sometimes, that's all you really need in life to be happy. Love is a Doxy is created and written by Mitchell Jordan. To get in contact, send an email to loveisadoxy@gmail.com. And please, if you get a chance, leave us a review. Thank you.